Hello, and welcome back to the Field Coach Expert Podcast, where franchisors and field teams come to learn practical ways to strengthen their systems and empower their franchisees. Today, we are diving into coaching dynamics that sound simple on paper, but in practice, it is surprisingly different. I am Jennifer Brannon, Chief Growth Officer at AC Inc., and I am your host for today. And so we're going to talk about the 70-30 rule. In a strong coaching conversation, the franchisee should be doing about 70% of the talking, while the coach is doing about 30%. You might be surprised at that. I know this is something that some of us struggle with, but we really see all of the time that often the coach flips that ratio. They end up explaining and solving problems or giving advice, and before they know it, the franchisee becomes the listener instead of the owner of their own solution. So we're going to talk about why that happens, what changes when the coaches learn to shift that conversation. And I am really excited about today because our guest brings a different perspective to the conversation. Toni Harris Taylor, who is known to some of you out there and to the broader world as the networking queen. She works with business owners on relationship-driven sales and marketing. But what's especially interesting is that Toni decided to enroll in our field coach certification program that we call the Accelerator, even though she isn't a traditional field coach within a within a franchise system. And she really wanted to better understand how coaches work with franchisees and how those coaching skills translate into the work that she does with business owners. So, Toni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. I'm honored that you wanted to hear the sound of my voice. Thank you.
Good stuff. Well, let's, for people that maybe don't know you, a lot of us see you at the different conferences, but not everyone makes it, or maybe they have seen you around. I would love for you to give our listeners a little insight into who you are, your background, and what you currently do with business owners.
Well, thank you. So you have already given my moniker. My clients gave me the moniker, the networking queen, because, and I resisted it. I didn't think people needed another queen in their life, but I said, if my clients thinks that's who I am, I'm going to wear it. And so I am the networking queen and also the coach that connects. And that's because I'm a global networker. And I connect people with intention. And that's what led me to purchase my Network in Action franchise. I didn't even know there was such a thing, a franchise for networking. And so I bought that franchise in 2019. So I'm a franchisee. I started attending franchise conferences, as you mentioned, and I just noticed there weren't a lot of brown people in the room. I'm like, why are we not here? And as I started straw polling my networks, they were like, I'm like, what do you think of franchising? They say McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. I'm like, yeah, no, there's so many other franchises out there. So I'm drastic, and you can see it on the shirt. It's all in my branding. And so I decided to launch a nonprofit called Multicultural Franchise Connectors to bring more women and people of color to franchising by connecting them to what's possible through franchising. So number one, they can franchise their models. There's nobody in our space telling us that we can franchise our models. Number two, they can buy a franchise. And number three, they can supply their services to franchising. And so in that, I decided to join FranServe as a franchise broker because I knew people would say, yeah, Toni, help me find a franchise. And then lastly, I kept hearing in my ear franchisors and people around, marketing people, saying franchisees don't want to do local marketing. They're relying on our digital, and they're complaining we're not getting them enough ads or enough leads. And I'm like, I know how to teach networking. So let me start talking to franchisors about adding me to their program to teach franchisees how to show up, be up, follow up, to blow up their business. So to recap, franchisee, executive director of a franchise organization, broker, and coach.
Nice. Nice. And I love it. You know, it's funny. I literally just got off a call with a brand. I do a lot of discovery calls just to learn about brands and see how EC can help them. And I can't tell you, the majority of these calls, when I ask about that, about community marketing, it's one of those pain points that every franchise system seems to have, is our franchisees aren't doing that local marketing.
That's
and
right.
They need this help. And we've got to understand that they're just not going to do it because we tell them they're going to do it. And as a former franchisee, that was me too. And so we've got to support them. We've got to train them. We've got to coach them. And I love that you do that with brands and can come in and show them the how. Right? The how. We tell them the thing they can do, but it's the how do you actually do that?
And
right?
The way I say it and the way I teach it, it is like the light bulb comes on. I've seen it, and they get the courage because someone on the outside gives them permission. I like to tell the franchisors, I'm telling your people the same thing you're telling them. But I say it a little different, that they're like, oh, it's almost like when you have teenagers, right? You tell your kids something, the neighbor or teacher can tell them the same thing, and it's a revelation.
Yep.
So that's why I have a lot of fun doing all the things that I'm doing.
Nice. Amazing. Well, I think one of the things that I mentioned at the top was that you decided that you wanted to take our field coach certification. And so, why did you do that? Someone who's not actually coaching franchisees as a franchise business coach in a brand. What was it that motivated you to do so?
Thank you for asking. That's a really good question, and it's a multi-pronged answer. Number one, I believe in coaching. Mm-hmm. So every coach needs a coach. Nobody is successful inside their own head. You need other people you need the voice of other people to help you be successful. So I coach primarily solopreneurs, right? Okay. Startup solopreneurs. And I had a challenging coaching year in 2020, early 2025. And I'm like, I need more skills in this because I'm a self-proclaimed coach, right? I never really took a class in how to be a good coach. Most people don't. They take their experience and turn it into coaching. And that's what I did. And I'm like, I feel like there's something off. And so I wanted to really learn how to be a better coach. Number two, I'm very transparent about this. I invest in people so they can invest back in me. Angela Cote is the most connected person in the franchise space. Mm-hmm. I would like to get some of her connections. I'm just saying. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the best way to do that, and this is something I teach in my course, is to invest in them first.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Because you get their attention. Mm-hmm. Now I'm a client of Angela's. Mm-hmm. Now I can call her and say, let's collaborate on this networking thing. Because I know your coaches talk about it. Again, you don't have my strategies. Where can we collaborate? So to get her attention, I spent some money,
All right.
right?
Yeah.
And it is a strategy. It is a strategy. So I've already made the money back through relationships, through the coaching program.
Mm.
And you have to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other piece, the third piece. When you invest in yourself, you do the work.
Right.
And we're going to talk about the challenges you've helped me to understand. So I've paid for this. I'm going to do the work. And
Right.
so that's all three things together is why I decided to invest with you all.
Nice. Well, we're happy that you have. I have heard from the people in the group and your facilitator how much you bring to it. And I mean, your energy alone, right? The culture, each of our cohorts has its own culture, and you've really helped level up that culture. And your insights are different than a lot of those that are business coaches. So let's talk about you said that being in the group and what you've learned has help with some of those challenges. What have been some of your biggest takeaways for you personally being a part of this program?
I'm cracking up because I figured out I'm not a coach.
Oh,
I
all right.
didn't know. Again, I said I took my experience, turned it into coaching. I didn't know there's a thing called a consultant, or I knew it was a consultant, but I thought consultants did something different.
Okay.
So getting the definition of coaching versus consulting, telling versus questioning, wow. I'm like, I'm not coaching at all. I'm 90-10. I ain't gonna lie. I love telling people what to do. I'm a trainer.
Yep.
I have a master's degree in adult education and training. So telling people how to do and what to do, that's why my program for networking is training. Mm-hmm. Then we coach them to ask the question. The biggest revelation is I wasn't a coach at all. And what came of understanding that is, especially what I teach, networking and relationship sales, it's uncomfortable for people. And what I've learned is my clients, they have to buy into it to change their habits. And it's all about habit change, right? So that's what I learned. I wasn't a coach. I'm more of a consultant, and I'm practicing and becoming better at asking more questions and not giving solutions, at least up front. Ask the questions and let people come up with their own results.
Yeah. Did you find that the other people in your group felt the same way?
Yes.
Right.
We're all telling what to do.
Right. And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is because we have the experience. Like me, I already have the networking experience. I've built a global business on network. I know what to do. And so I also know the pitfalls, so it's easier for me to just tell you what to do. And I think the other thing is I think my clients want to be told what to do. And I've got to retrain my people that I'm not going to tell you what to do. And they don't like that answer. And I don't like it as a coaching client either. I don't like that answer. I want you to tell me what to do because that's why I paid you.
Right.
But I've also learned, and I think the people in the cohort have learned, if we tell them, then it's not going to stick.
Right. Right. So how how have you learned that? I mean, because what we're saying is we're just going to give up, and we're not going to help get them to the right answer. We know what the right answer is, or we know what they need to do, right? So if we're not going to tell them, how is it that we get them there in without telling them?
So I'm not a lawyer and I do not play one on TV, but I do know what a leading question is. Asking the right questions that lead them to the same answer I was going to give them. And one of the things I loved about the program is you're teaching us how to ask the questions. Your program is really great. It's exceeded my expectations. Because it has tools I didn't even think about or know I needed and would never have created myself.
Right.
It has conversations, the questioning, how to ask questions, a bank of questions, right? And then the leadership piece, the personality piece, it's all great.
Well, I'm thrilled. I think that, and that's why we created it, because yes, we're talking about franchise business coaches, but even people like you coming in, and not even just coaches. We have COOs, CEOs, VPs. It's anybody that is supporting in or communicating with franchisees, or there is definitely translation to the outside world as well as you have been attesting to that. So
let me
I
say
love
this.
that.
There is a franchisor in my cohort.
Okay.
And I have a great appreciation for her being there with her coach, learning the same things. And I'm going to say this, coaches won't be with you always. So as the CEO in top leadership, you should take the course as well, because when that person leaves, if you don't know how to deliver or don't have the tools to go refresh yourself, then you're going to be fish out of water.
Right. I absolutely agree with you. So if we go back to what we were saying about the whole coaching versus consulting piece, and you know what, Toni, you'll agree with me, there's time for training.
Sure.
Right? There is, like, franchisees, there's time that we need to be training. But as long as we recognize I'm training now, I'm not actually coaching. And the difference is the coaching, and now we are asking the questions to help those franchisees determine, come up to their own decision, or decide their own course of action, or come to some realizations, whatever it might be. What do you think happens when, like, why is it important that we do that? What is the end result when we change that approach and we are actually getting into that true, I'm only talking 30% of the time and it's my franchisee talking 70, because I'm asking those amazing, great questions. What is the end result of that in your experience, and maybe what you've heard from other coaches?
They buy in. And they start to change your own habits. And then also, when you're not in front of them, they can think through. It's about critical thinking. It's teaching them how to think critically about solving their own problems.
Yeah.
And that's what I have learned. And I'm going to be transparent. I keep it 100. As I said, I normally coach solopreneurs. And there's been a few that after I've coached with them, their businesses fall apart. Why? Because I was telling them what to do. They did it and they got results, but when I wasn't there, they went back to their old habits.
Right.
And if we don't know anything to change habits, it must be consistent. And since I wasn't in their ear, in their head, they went back to their own habits and business fell apart.
Wow. Yep. And I'm sure that there's lots of franchisors, who might be listening to that, are wondering, why are our franchisees not doing what they need to do to grow their business?
Correct. And so, I keynote And I'm always grateful to be invited to speak on stages, and I love that. And I'm great at it, right? People leave energized, they've got a drastic mindset. They want, but that doesn't really move the needle, because when they get back home, they go back to their habits. And that's why I created an 8-week course. And I get pushback from franchise brands sometimes, says 8 weeks. I don't think I can get them to show up for 8 weeks. And the point is, I got to have accountability in there. I need them to go out and do it. Go network. Do what I told you, trained you to do. And then come back and share with us what happened, so we can debrief it, so you can change your habits. And so I have an 8-week course. I love keynoting. I'll do that all day. But ultimately, it's the course that changes habits.
And I think that translates over to coaching too, because people, that franchisor said, oh, I don't know if I could get them to come for 8 weeks. Franchisees will do what they find value in.
Correct. And 8 weeks is not a lot of time.
Right.
To add a skill that will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your bottom line. Right. So I don't buy into that they won't come. Yeah. They will come. And when they meet me, they want to come. And I'm just not, and that's not an arrogant statement. I bring the energy. I bring the fun. They get inspired. They need that voice. And so, and I'm grateful.
That translates to coaches. It's the same thing. If we've got coaches that are well trained, who are coaching, not consulting, who are not just focused on the operations of the business and problem solving and firefighting, but are actually helping that franchisee set goals and determine action steps for those goals and keeping them accountable. And so we're moving the needle, because that's what it's all about. And there's value for coaching.
That's
exactly to show up.
That's exactly right. And your program covers personality styles, right? So, and being able to relate my personality to the coaching client's personality, tweaking things so that they can hear it and receive it better. And I'm also certified in DISC, so I love DISC. And I saw that in the program. I'm like, they are spot on. Your program has helped me to be more relatable to people. And that's a habit switch too, for the coaches to switch from your style to their style. Yeah. That's not easy. Yeah. And so y'all's program is long though, 40 weeks or something crazy like that. And I'm like, I don't know how many weeks it is, but it's twice a week. And I'm like, this is a long program, but that's what it takes to switch the habits.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I said 40 weeks. It's not. It's 40
modules.
40 sessions. 20, yes, exactly.
20,
over 5 months.
20
it is, but we have to look at it, especially for these coaches that have never had any kind of training, and they're expected, they're in this role to support franchisees and drive growth. Where else are they going to get the training?
Yeah.
There's nothing else that exists. So it's an investment. It's absolutely, I think it's more of a time investment for the coaches
than
financial. Right?
The money was very affordable.
Right.
Come on. I won't quote the price, but it was so affordable. Right. It was the time.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I will say it's been a struggle for me, because I am not like a franchise coach that is hired and gets a salary anyway. I have to be out networking and traveling and speaking and doing the things I do. So I've had to make it work. That's why I don't buy into my franchisees won't do 8 weeks. Give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can do 22 weeks and with my busy life, and if you know me, you see me everywhere, but it can be done. So
because you find value in it. You know, it's giving you, some skills.
The
So
other thing is, though, I don't want to lose my money.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, too. I think part of the problem with franchisees is they're not investing their own money.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a way that franchisees can pay for their course. When I invest my money, I'm
Yep.
showing up and I'm doing the work
Yep.
because I put my money into it. I'd love to see some franchisors say you pay up front. If you show up for six
Mm-hmm.
out of eight sessions, we'll reimburse you.
Yep.
But at least they know they have to show up.
Right.
And so you gotta have skin in the game.
Yep. No, absolutely. So I'm just looking at time, Tony. We've got to wind down, but back to what we were talking about when, the topic of this podcast is really anybody that's coaching. We need to be watching that ratio. We need to be keeping it under 30% of time. What would be some advice? Because we like to give advice, we like to give takeaways and action steps for our listeners. What would you say? Some advice that you could give or tips to help people really watch that ratio and get better. And you've said
Yeah.
you're a working in progress. I'm a work in progress for sure because I'm a natural teacher and trainer just like you. What would some tips be that you could give our audience?
I think the number one tip, and I have implemented this and it's making a difference, is preparing for the call in advance. Knowing the problem they had on the last call. I do AI notes, so looking at the notes, what are they supposed to come to with this call, and preparing your questions, 4 or 5 questions before
Nice.
you get on the call. That's the best thing you can do to code switch yourself, because when you do that, you're now in more of a questioning mindset. But if you get on the call willy nilly, and you're like, oh, so what are we going to do today?
Yeah.
Then you will switch into your natural habit, which is telling them what to do.
Yep. And then just problem solving, whatever problem they bring to you, right? And
Yeah.
we're there to help them grow their business, not
Yeah.
just react to their problems. So,
And become a better business owner. So
yes.
teaching them how to think for themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Tony, thank you so much. If we have listeners that are interested in some of your services, I want to open it up to you to tell people where to find you. Even reinforce what you offer. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. And again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm all over LinkedIn. So the easiest and best way is to DM me in LinkedIn. If you want to see what my program looked like, go to franchise.drasticresults.com. Franchise.drasticresults.com. And let's just have a conversation. Here's the other beautiful thing about me, Jen, and you ain't gonna find this in nobody else. When you bring me on as part of your team, I become family. Now I see your business from the inside. I'm a broker. I get to bring you my clients who are looking for a franchise. I'm a speaker. So nobody else. Nobody else. And the other thing I'll ask is if you are really passionate about bringing more multicultural communities to your brand, hit me up. Come on, y'all. There's money out there y'all not tapped into, and there's lives that y'all can change. You don't know what you don't know about reaching our communities. Let me help. Let me help you show up in a place where we can go all get that green money. All right?
I love that. I do want to see, I do want to see that more in franchising. I've also looked around the room and you know, seen the same sites. So we want to improve that for sure. So, well, thank you, Toni. This has been so fun. Really, really love our conversation, and really enjoy, you know, the fact that how much you get it. Let's move from consulting to coaching, and let's empower these business owners to think for themselves. So any listeners out there, if you want to learn more about our field coach certification, please reach out in any capacity. Like Toni, let's just have a conversation. I do a lot of these calls. I'm happy to chat about that or anything else if you have any other needs in your franchise system and you want to strengthen your franchisee support. So thank you for joining us today on the the Field Coach Experts podcast. And I will see you next week.